So Amtrak says, well, fine, if you're not going to do your tunnel, we're going to do ours. And you've heard lately in the press about Amtrak tunnels. This is their plans. It's in their 2030 infrastructure plan for the corridor. Here are the existing tunnels. Here are the new ARC tunnels that would have come in as a deep cavern station under 34th Street. And they said, okay, we're going to build our own tunnels across the Dutch River. So now we're going to have 6 tunnels. And these are going to come in, actually the same alignment in the 10 station that the original branch did. Then they were going to build a brand new little station down here that was big enough for Acela trains, but not big enough for commuter trains. But this, to a great extent, we think was a reaction. Yeah. Unfortunately for Amtrak, they have no money.
Yeah.
But this is a plan, and you can see here. This is the profile. You can see this is the going into the deep cavern station. How deep this is, and it would be a challenge to go up here and down here both. This is the number 7 train extension under 11th Avenue. So,
does Amtrak's long-range plan call for a new tunnel under the East River from the east end of that land?
Yeah, their $118 billion, 250-mile-an-hour high-speed rail plan includes, I think it's 2 sets of tunnels.
Yeah.
But I'm just asking myself, where are they going to get $115 billion?
Probably stop the war.
Under this plan, they actually have, looking ahead, they have a scenario where they're an integral part of the airline business. You come to Penn Station, you check your bags, you get on a train here, you get a one-stop ride to the terminals at JFK. Of course, the air train at JFK can't accommodate regular railroad cars, but this is the idea that they would have a station and it would have very frequent service all the way out to JFK.
Not Newark, JFK?
Right, right. But this is the way distant future plan. So they end up with, under 34th Street, and I don't have it here, they originally had 2 sets of platform and 2 tracks. So you had 4 tracks on each level. Vornado, who's the major owner of real estate along 34th Street, complained to the city. The city said to New Jersey Transit, we really don't want you building part of this station underneath the buildings north of 34th Street. You can't fit 2 full sets of platforms and tracks under the 100-foot width of 34th Street. So New Jersey Transit said, fine, we'll shrink the station. Now, if you live in Manhattan, you know there's lots and lots of buildings that are sitting on subway tracks and railroad tracks all over. It's not uncommon, but New Jersey Transit said, fine, we'll shrink it. They saved money in doing it. They also made it impossible, really, to have this station be a 2-way station in the future going to the east side. The lower level was too low, too close to the water tunnel, so all you would have had were 3 tracks. And you really aren't going to get anybody in the railroad business to agree to run a 2-way business going to Grand Central or further east and have just that number of tracks. And to some extent, New Jersey Transit, it's a department of the state. It's very much a political animal, and to me, this was a very bad move, transportation-wise, but they made the change. Here's just to give you perspective. Here are the existing tracks in Penn Station. This is the garden. Here are the tracks underground, approximately 45 feet below the street. The lower level here is 181 feet below Herald Square. And just to give you a sense of scale, there's the Statue of Liberty. 20 stories basically below ground. If you're that far below ground, escalators are required. This was nirvana for the escalator repair folks. And here is a side shot. And in fact, you can see this is the actual station here, the passenger station, but the actual cavern is almost a half a mile long. 75 feet tall, 96 feet wide, a half a mile long, under 34th Street in Midtown Manhattan. Lots of work. And this is basically the east end of the platform. The escalators have to go up so much vertical that they actually carry you almost to 6th Avenue by the time you finish your ride. The same thing over here, 8th Avenue. When they dropped this entire station in 2007, they said because there was a rock fault right here, they dropped it about 40 feet, and that added a minute to everybody's commute twice a day, just the time to travel on the escalators. And this is a plan view, and you can see entrances here, You all know the Sunglass Hut that's at the corner of Macy's at Herald Square? The smallest store next to the biggest store in the world? Under this plan, that Sunglass Hut would have turned into an entrance. And in the latest rendition, they were going to buy a 10-story building here, kick out 49 commercial tenants, tear it down, and put in an entrance. And right here, they were going to take a Citibank branch, a building. It's a 5-story building with a Citibank branch in it, and obviously Manhattan can do with one less Citibank branch. But this is the site. If you ever walk south to Penn Station, you go in at 34th and 7th. This is what's behind you when you cross the street. This is like the Macy's is right over here.
Oh, right.
This is like the busiest intersection at 5 o'clock or 5:15 in the city, because so many people are coming down. And just tearing the building down and working on it would really create a challenge. Now, talk money for a minute. And I know there are probably people in the room that think that Christie made the wrong decision. I think he made the right decision. Let's go back into 2005 when they designated the ARC plan as a locally preferred alternative. This is the last time the New Jersey Transit Board voted on this project. Look at the price tag at that time. The red is the public statement portal. For those of you that aren't in the details on this, west of the Hackensack River, they cut off that part of the project around 2004. George Warrington was at New Jersey Transit. He'd come from Amtrak. He thought if he cut off a piece of the project, he could get FRA money, Amtrak money, cut the price of the project. So they segmented the project into 2 pieces. But you have to build, in effect, if you just build ARC, you would have 4 tracks and then 2 tracks between the Hackensack River and the Passaic River, and then 4 tracks at Newark. So you have to build this portal project to make things work. Otherwise, you don't have the 4 tracks. So we always carried it as a price. So you start at $6 billion. Then you go to the DEIS, it goes up to the public number 7.4. This is when they shrunk the size of the terminal and they dropped the connection to Penn. The price went up. They were starting to discover that their original prices weren't that good. And this is the point at which they really created an entirely separate railroad from the Amtrak corridor. New viaduct, a new station next to you've all been to the Secaucus station or through it. When you're going south, you make this stop that you don't need, and that's Secaucus station. It's 4 tracks. They were going to build a new 2-track station south of that. So the price went up, and then Portal started to get real information. It went up to 1.7, so now it's a $9.5 billion project. Sure. At the end of 2008, when they were going through the final review of the environmental review process, the FTA, Federal Transit Administration, came in and said, we don't think you have enough contingencies, we don't think you have enough for inflation. They fought about it, took a while to get the report out, and the entire report that's like this thick has everything in here at 7.6, and then you read the cover page, the abstract, and it's gone up to 8.7. The feds forced them to add $1.5 billion of contingency, and then they took out $400 million of rolling stock. The first day you have enough trains to run, the second year you don't. They took out all the out years. But the price went up to 8.7, so now you're at 10.4. There's an election, 2009, and all through 2009 they're sitting there with a record of decision which was issued the last 2 weeks of the Bush administration in January of 2009. And a record of decision, they could have moved into a full funding grant agreement, which is how you get federal money in this New Starts process. Never happened. And behind the scenes, we believe there were real concerns at the feds and starting to be some at New Jersey Transit for the cost of the project. Administration changes in January. By January, they're starting to hide the better part of $1 billion in budget overruns by just chewing up contingency in their budget.